Okie dokie, I believe we are all the way live. Hello and welcome to my graveyard. I am your host of the evening, the Cemetery Man from Salem, Mass. Always taking names and kicking candy ass, live in living color here with you on Grande's Graveyard. And tonight we're live in living color. We're chilling like villains. Got my Santa hat on, got my ROLTLD. Yeah, yeah, I got that right. I got that right. I thought I botched it for a second, but I got it right. Or Gucci Poochie. I got that red, got that green, Christmas colors, all that good stuff. And we're talking about two Christmas horror classics here tonight. I cannot wait. This is going to be really, really fun. We've already got a bunch of people in the chat. I'm sorry I'm a little bit late. I was getting the eggnog prepared and the stream and all that good stuff. Arthur Bremer's in the hazy talking about business, man, horror business. Neon Black Reviews, what's going on, good brother? Looking forward to hearing my thoughts on The Lodge, dude. I have nothing but good things to say about the lodge. So definitely, I'm glad that you're here to check the show out because I don't know if you have Hulu because it's on Hulu for free. I know that. Unfortunately, I had the digital code to this, but I gave it away. So to the Dead Pit guys who really are cool. And my good buddy Aiden Vabers in the Heezy. What's going on, my friend? A merry second week of December, man. We're halfway to Christmas, man. I'm looking forward to it. It's been an awesome month. And my good brother Ryan Snyder's in the house. I know he's watching Secret Santa right now, which is a really, really fun Christmas slasher from 2015. Not the Adam Marcus one, because Adam Marcus stinks. We all know that. But I forget the filmmaker's name, but I know it stars the voluptuous Keegan Chambers, who's one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen in my life. So absolutely love that one. That was a really, really fun throwback movie. Aiden's watching Dario Argento's Pelts. Oh man, get me some meatloaf up in here in this easy, man. Love me some meatloaf, man. Dude, that is one of my favorite Masters of Horror episodes. Definitely in my top 10. Just absolutely fucking crazy with the amount of gore and just insanity that goes on during that entire episode. Like that's one of the prime episodes for insanity when you watch that fucking show. It's absolutely wild. Like I love that one, man. I really wish they'd release season two on Blu-ray or re-release. I know they have that skull set, but that's been out of print for years, unfortunately. But I know a couple people that have. But man, I think those totally deserve the Blu-ray upgrade because season one they did it. They re-released season one a few times on Blue and various other forms of Blue. I think they did like a volume set, like all four of the volumes of Masters of Horror season one on Blu-ray, and then I know that they did the original like crypt set for Masters of Horror season one. And that was really, really cool too. I never had any of that. I have the single DVD, and then it has like 4 discs and every episode from the first season. It's incredible. It's like $8 on Amazon. You can't beat it. You get the entire first season for $8. Like you can't, and it's like one of my favorite shows of all time. So really a no brainer. But I was getting this. This is why the show was delayed a little bit. I had to go out and I'm gonna try some new eggnog this week. It's Farmland Fresh Dairies eggnog. This is premium, baby. This is fucking premium, man. This is some high level shit. Honestly, I have no idea. Like Hood, I'm positive Hood is some good shit. So this is we're winging this right here. I'm gonna pour a cup right here. Got my handy dandy red cup, matches my whole outfit and everything. My boss even complimented me today. He liked my sweatshirt. I was surprised. I didn't think he was a Return of the Living Dead guy, but sure enough, he was. So I got my nog poured here. I'm gonna just put a cap on it, if you will. Oh, AJ's in the house. AJ, good brother. Pajama Pants player. Oh, yeah. Since 96, brother. Always Pajama Pants playing. Oh, and by the way, I don't know if any of you'll follow AJ on Instagram, but AJ will be doing horror trivia this Saturday. And yours truly, I'm the defending champ. I'm like Ric Flair, man. I'm like chopping people, winning the belt 16 times, all that good stuff. So if you want to do fun horror trivia, AJ's got the best questions and the best setup. And we do it on Instagram live for like an hour, and he reads you the questions, doesn't give him any hints because he's mean like that. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, that's always a fun time. So cheers to Mr. AJ and cheers to everybody here. We're gonna drink some nog and then we're gonna get right into this. So I'm gonna try this. I'll be honest, it smells a little bit weaker than the last eggnog I had. Usually eggnog smells like really fucking strong nail polish or something, but the taste is what matters, man, not the smell. So we're going to go right in. And this is definitely, I can tell it's not as thick. This is more like milk looking, but we're going to give it a whirl here. Mm. Oh man. While it's not as thick and it's not as strong, I think you could drink more of this, and precisely for those reasons. This is fucking actually really good, man. Farmland Nog comes a little pink, like little. It looks red on my screen, but no, it's pink, right? I don't know, unless I'm fucking colorblind. No hormones added, baby. No hormones. All right, so I ain't gonna get horny on y'all. But I don't know. This is some pretty good Nog. Mm. I will definitely be trying this one again. I'm trying to try as many eggnogs as I can. If anybody has recommendations for eggnog, let me know because I'm just fiending for the nog and DC So, but we can kind of lead into our main topic, the meat and potatoes of this show, if you will. Tonight, we're talking about two awesome Christmas holiday horror flicks, and one of them, it's funny. Both of these movies really have a special place in my heart, and it's funny because both of them really didn't do much in their theatrical run. Both of them, I would say, are criminally underrated, and both of them are newer. Like usually, it's I'm talking about older films, like 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever. And these two movies are both less. Well, one of them came out this year in The Lodge, and the other one is less than 15 years old in P2. And these are the movies, obviously. So P2, the DVD from Lionsgate. This sorely needs a fucking Blu-ray. I don't. I know there's an overseas Blu-ray, but I believe that's out of print too. So that's the only Blu-ray you can get of it, and it's out of print. So it's unfortunate. This fucking I don't know who. I believe Lionsgate still owns the rights to this. Release this on fucking Blu-ray. Give this features. This is it's absolutely a fucking disgrace that this is not. It's just crazy to me. But and also the other one from this year, actually, fun fact, it's the last movie I saw in a movie theater before coronavirus impacted the world and changed everything for the worse. It is The Lodge, starring Riley Keough. Little Blu-ray slipcover there. Badass movie. Rewatched both of these the past couple nights, so they're fresh in my brain. We're gonna be talking about them in depth, man. Oh, HA saying, I hope you can see the pink. Yeah, I can see the pink, brother. I can see the pink. Maybe just not on this carton. All right. That's all I meant. See, I'll quote the great Elvis Presley. You got a dirty mind, mister. You got a dirty mind. And Elvis is pretty heavily featured in this movie, too, which is cool. Oh, P2 tomorrow. Dude, charge to P2. I actually just watched it. I usually do show prep like during the week, but man, I fucking just rewatched that, so it's fresh in my brain. So I'm gonna probably start with P2. I had planned to do it the other way around, but I'm gonna start with P2 just because I just literally, turned my TV off from watching it. Going to watch P2 for the first time this weekend. All right, cool. So I'll make sure for you, I'll do spoilers and non-spoilers. Granted, I always do spoilers, so everyone, fair warning here. But I will do a spoiler-free part, and then I'll get into spoilers for sure. Lionsgate, please release P2 and Bruiser on Blu-ray. Yo, I could go on forever about movies that deserve special edition Blu-rays, and we can kick the show off right here because this is the fact that there isn't, and the fact that there really nobody fucking talks about this movie. It's absolutely astounding to me. It's from 2007. It is Frank Calhoun's P2, A New Level of Terror. Yes. I can read a little plot synopsis. We can get into this one. Not much of a plot synopsis, though. I mean, real simple. A businesswoman is pursued by a psychopath after being locked in a parking garage on Christmas Eve. Yes, P2. This is an interesting movie because this came out right around the Saw craze. And I don't know if I could blame the Saw craze for this. This is a Lionsgate title. So obviously, I think it's a Lionsgate title. Oh, no, this is Summit. I'm sorry, this is Summit Entertainment, but I thought Lionsgate had a piece of this. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but this came out right around the Saw craze. It was like really booming at that time, and then Paranormal Activity was the movie that really moved us along from there. And this movie is just kind of randomly caught in the middle there. And it came out, had a horrible opening weekend, made like no money, unfortunately. And there's a lot of reasons as to why that could be. My first and foremost, I think the title, that's a bad title. Like it's not one of those titles you hear and go, I want to watch that. It's not like Christmas Evil from last week or To All a Good Night. You hear those titles and you're like, that kind of sounds badass. I want to try those movies. You hear P2, it's not that kind of reaction. It's not that kind of, oh man, let me drop what I'm doing and watch P2. It just doesn't, the title really hurts this movie. And I think it's the main reason this movie did not get a wide audience to go see it when it initially had its theatrical run. But I'll never forget renting this one just a month or so after I had rented High Tension from the video store back in the day, from the Hollywood Video back in the day. And man, I remember just being enthralled. And I saw Alex Aja's name as one of the writers and producers. Now, the director, Frank Calhoun, he's actually the gas station attendant in High Tension that gets killed with the axe. That's the guy who directed this movie. And he also went on to direct Wrong Turn at Tahoe, or something like that. And then he did the Maniac remake starring Elijah Wood, which actually does have quite the fan base, which is incredible. I'll always be Joe Spinell in the original, but I don't mind that remake. I think there's some good things about it. The POV, the gore, that's not CGI. I like some of the background, Elijah Wood's acting. Frank Calhoun, and he went on to do an Amityville movie. I think Frank Calhoun does a great job here. And I really think that this is one of those movies that a lot of people would say, hey, maybe this is trying to ride the coattails of a High Tension, because it is very similar in tone. I mean, it really is. Whereas when you watch High Tension, that's exactly what the movie is. It's 90 minutes of high tension. It's a cat and mouse chase to the death. And that's a lot what this movie is, except you change the setting around. You got a parking garage. You change the time of the year around. Of course, it's Christmas time. And you get two actors that are a lot more, granted, I wouldn't say they're mainstream actors, but they're more known than a Cecile de France was at the time, even though Cecile de France is wonderful. You get Rachel Nichols, who, I mean, she has at least two talents. I'm the worst. I'm sorry. I'm the worst. But dude, Rachel Nichols in this is so fucking beautiful and hot. And she's a fantastic actress too, man. She just absolutely kills this role as the kind of final girl in this. And Wes Bentley, from everybody always remembers from American Beauty, he played the kind of weird kid with the camera, and sometimes there's so much beauty in the world, I can't take it. He plays the stalking slash creep in this. And there's something about the two of them together and their chemistry that really puts this movie over the top for me. And I just think that it's a recipe for success. Stalk and slash, cat and mouse, Christmas Eve night in this parking garage, gore, craziness, insanity, chaos, all of that good stuff ensues. And man, that's what I'm looking for in a good horror movie, a fun, entertaining 90 minutes. And that's exactly what this movie delivers. So I know Aiden hasn't seen this, so I know that that's going to be like my spoiler-free section of this. I highly recommend it, Aiden. If you want to tune out, no hard feelings at all. But I will want to talk a little bit about spoilers, though, on this one. You got a couple people talking. Aja, you sold me. Of course, we all love Alex Aja on the Grande's Graveyard, man. More of a Ted Bundy approach in the remake. Solid stuff. Yeah, honestly, I like that Maniac remake. I really do. I'll be honest. It's weird. I saw it when it came out, which is like 7 or 8 years ago, and I haven't watched it since. But I remember thinking, wow, like I'm fucking shocked, because I didn't think there was any way you could rival what Joe Spinell did in the original Maniac. But gotta say, man, I don't think that's a poor remake. In fact, I think it's pretty good, and it's pretty incredible the fan base it has. Like, there's a big fucking cult following for that movie that I never would have expected. It's just kind of strange. I watched P 2 years ago and thought it was pretty damn good. Yeah, man, I just watched it about 20 minutes ago, and I'd agree with you, good brother. This is pretty damn good. We can get into some kind of story aspects of this. Of course, I gave you a little bit of the synopsis. It's the character of Angela. She's coming home for the holidays. She's running a little late at work, and she gets in her car. Of course, the car is not working, and she runs into the security guy played by Wes Bentley named Tom. Tom's trying to fix her car. He offers, to call her a cab. He offers for her to have dinner with him. He just seems like the innocent, creepy little security guard that's going to stay overnight. And she says, "Oh, she baby faces him to death. I'm good. I don't need any of that. I thank you for your help, though. Thank you, but I need to go home. I want to spend the holidays with my family." And he goes, "Okay, sure, fine." So she calls for a cab. He locks all the doors in the building. She can't get out. The cab leaves her. She goes back down. He turns the lights out, chloroforms her, and man, from there on, we are fucking off to the races. This is a really, really fun fucking movie. She awakes and he's in a Santa suit laughing. He's prepared a nice turkey dinner for her. He's got his dog Rocky chained up, barking up a storm. He's got Santa Baby. He's got Santa Baby by Eartha Kitt playing. He's got Elvis's Blue Christmas playing. He's just loving to love the holiday, man. He's having a good time. He's not drinking his eggnog though, like me, man. Oh my fucking god, man. I actually like that way better than the one I drank last week. And I thought the one I drank last week was good, but that it's a little less thick. It's more like a melted shake. I digress though. I'm sorry. I just think it's just such a fun setup because it's just this lonely, creepy guy, right? This lonely, creepy guy that like just wants nothing more than to have a hot ass woman join him for Christmas night, Christmas Eve dinner, man. And Wes Bentley is just so born to play this role. In fact, I actually had read an interview with Wes Bentley doing my homework on this one. And he said that this was right at the prime of his addiction to heroin. He was actually really in a bad way when he accepted the role to take this movie. And he claimed that a lot of that is what you see in this movie. You don't really see just a normal, straight laced guy in this movie. You see a little bit of that addict that he was at that time. And as messed up as that is to say, it really does add a lot to the performance. There's so much energy there. There's so much exclamation. And I mean, it's just absolutely insane how well he's able to capture that kind of lonely, late night, creepy guy. And I think in a lot of ways, this movie is slightly a character study of that person, of said person, right? Because it's funny, I worked security for like 8 years of my life. So nobody knows lonely overnights like late night security guards do. And I've been in those shoes. I've done a ton of overnights where I was fucking shot, tired, bored, lonely, whatever. And it seems like this guy had planned out what he was going to do. He kind of saw this girl every day on these cameras that he has throughout the building and convinced himself that he loved this girl and did his homework on this girl. He knows her entire family. He knows that she's single. He knows that there was a certain person that worked in the building that tried one night to grope her. And he sort of lays all the seeds out for himself to plan this night of total terror. And man, it's just fucking awesome. Like, I really liked the character of Wes Bentley in this. I thought while he's a nut job, you totally see his loneliness, and a lot of that loneliness comes out. And not that there's uber sympathy. In fact, you probably just love to hate him. I'd love to hate him too, but you do see that human element, and I think that adds a lot. I think if it was just over the top, I don't know if it would really hit home like this does. I think his performance is really genuine. It's really up there. I mean, he raises the volume up to 11, but I think that's what the great ones do, man. You dial yourself up to 11. And Wes Bentley does that in this movie. I think he is creepy. I think he is fucking scary when he loses it. Like, he's trying to be nice. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to hurt you. And then when he snaps, like, how many times can you say my name? Tom, 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 Tom. How many times can you fucking say it? Like, he just screams and just, well, on a snap of a dime, he's one of those characters where one minute you could be laughing, drinking some eggnog with him at the counter. Next minute he's pulling out a knife trying to cut you. Like, that's a fine line to play with, but I think Wes Bentley just fucking knocks it out of the park. I love his performance in this. And with that being said, as great as Wes Bentley is, I don't think this movie works without Rachel Nichols. And I was saying before how I think she's beautiful and just a voluptuous woman. I mean, they put her in this really skimpy dress. Apparently, Frank Calhoun, another kind of fun fact about this one, he wanted Rachel Nichols to be naked at one point in this movie, and she said, "I'll walk." Right in the middle of filming, she was like, "I will literally walk off the set if you want me to do that." She's like, "I'm not pro nudity." And while it's a shame, I wouldn't have minded it at all. I respect her decision there. And I do think at the same time, again, and this is crazy for me to fucking say this, but it's the truth. That's not what this movie is. It's really not a boobs, blood, and mayhem movie. There's boobs on display. I mean, shit, but it's not that type of film. It's really not. It's really the perfect stalk and slash, building tension, bringing character development in there, study of character, and all around having that Christmas vibe, atmosphere, and music. And I think it really works. I think it's really, her performance is phenomenal. She's at points trying to reason with him, and there are points where she just says, "Hey, screw it, man. I have to nut up or shut up here, or else I'm gonna die tonight." And there's a point where she does come to that realization where she's been hiding in an elevator from him, and he pours this kind of hose, this fire hose down on her, and it's freezing cold. She's in a skimpy ass dress, and she's slowly like freezing. And she has to make the decision to go down, let the elevator door open, and obviously leave herself vulnerable to our lead villain. That's a ballsy moment. And there are points where Wes Bentley is just outright taunting her. He knows that he has her in the palm of his hand, and he's almost buttering her up for whatever he wants to do with her. And that's really terrifying. There's a scene where she's shivering in the corner, and Wes Bentley's like, "This one's for you, baby." He puts the record on the track, and it's Elvis singing Blue Christmas. I'll have a blue Christmas without you. And his Wes Bentley just dancing to the music and enjoying and smiling, and her just total fear, shivering of, not just the cold, but fear that Wes Bentley is able to give off in this movie. It's just, you really, their performances just drive home. And that use of music, it's one of those things you can never unhear. Like every time I hear the song Blue Christmas now, I think of this movie. I think of Wes Bentley and Rachel Nichols. And I think that scene, it's just so great because she starts looking around at the cameras and she goes, "This is it. Like, I have to fucking fight back, or else this is the end of me." So she grabs a fire axe. She starts taking out these cameras. And again, a good, slow, gradual build to a crazy kick ass finale, and just great battle between these two, between Stalker and Final Girl. And I'll be remiss to say, I think Frank Calhoun just nails this movie. I think he's able to capture some of the atmosphere that was in a movie like High Tension, because it almost feels like a spiritual sequel, like a movie that took the same formula and did something different with it in at the end of the day. And there's no crazy twist ending at the end of this, by the way. There's nothing like that. I know a lot of people get their sour taste in their mouth with that High Tension ending, but that is what it is. I love that movie too, but this doesn't have any ending like that if you have any, remissions. But I think that it's just so fucking wonderful, man. Like, I just love how they really slowly but surely build it and then bam, pay it off. You have this scene where Wes Bentley is tied up the guy that groped her, and he goes, "Look at this guy. I want you to take this nightstick. I want you to go out there and I want you to beat him with it because he can't have his way with you. You're not a floozy. You're not his floozy." And all the while being the biggest hypocrite in the world, because he's calling this guy the perv, this guy the groper, the creep, when meanwhile he's doing the same exact thing and doesn't see anything wrong with it. So total hypocrisy from our lead villain. But Angela can't do it. She's too good. He gets out of the car, beats the shit out of this guy with a nightstick. And we're thinking, all right, well, at least he left the guy alone, right? At least he left him alive. Nope, gets back in the car, floors it, and then crushes this fucking guy into the wall with the car. And he's sitting in like a computer chair. Just quack, man. All this gore, guts, all this stuff comes out, and Angela's pleading with him. He has kids. He has a newborn baby, and fucking Wes Bentley does not give a shit. He's just like, "You can't let him do it, Angela. You know why? Because he'll do it again. That's what these kind of perverts do." And it's just fucking, it's so poetic because you're just like, my God, man, you're doing the same thing right now. But it's incredible. It's well done. And I think the final battle between these two are just, it's a blast. You have her and him. She's at one point hiding, trying to call the police, and his dog attacks her. And they're in this car, and it's trying to bite her, and she takes a fucking crowbar and just stabs his dog like right between the neck, and it's fucking still fighting her, and she just repeatedly stabs it. All the gore. I was just like, whoa. And Wes Bentley's reaction when he finds his dog Rocky dead. You killed my dog! Like all this bullshit, man. Wes Bentley loses his fucking shit over it. He's like, Rocky was an innocent animal in this, man. I think it's fucking so funny. Like how, bam, he just switches on a dime, becomes this defenseless animal, you bitch. You know? And they have this badass kind of car chase where she thinks she's outsmarted him. She's going to drive through the gate. Bam, gets T-boned by him. And then they kind of have this Mexican standoff in the cars as they kind of stare each other down. And Angela's like, you know what? She puts her fucking seatbelt on. She moves her arms like this. And she's like, come on, you son of a bitch. Come at me. Fucking grabs the steering wheel, foot to the floor, and they just start fucking driving right for each other. And it's who's going to pull out if either one of them are going to pull out. And man, it's just so, you're on the edge of your seat. You're like, holy shit, this is fucking amazing. And bam, Wes Bentley pulls out because he's the pussy of the two, right? You see in that moment who is the pussy and who is the strong of the two. And it's Angela. She gets to the front and then accidentally flips the car over. He comes in to try to save her. Oh, I got you. Stabs him in the eye, handcuffs him to the car. He's screaming and crying. And he goes on this whole kind of rant of how he's always so alone and how it's not fair that people like Angela and people like normal people get to go home for the holidays and spend time with their family or their significant others or their loved ones while he and his dog are just stuck down here, kind of just left to rot. And he says a line that I thought was really, really interesting. He says, "It's what they want for me. It's not that it's supposed to be this way. It's how the world looks at people like me, the loner, the quiet one, the creep, if you will." And I think there's a lot to be said there, even though it's a kind of, I guess it could be looked at as a throwaway line. I thought it really meant something in this performance where part of me, maybe deep down inside did feel bad for this guy. This was a guy that just wanted love at the end of the day. And there's a point even too where he quotes Hemingway. He says, Ernest Hemingway said that true love would be when you forgave someone for anything they did, no matter what, whether they committed infidelity, whether they tried to kill you, no matter what they did, true love keeps coming back. And he convinced himself that he loved this girl. And I think that there's a really sad kind of theme there. And I really like that because it could have just been the normal, I'm the creepy perv, and there is that is that too. But I liked that they added that human element here. And I thought that Wes Bentley really pulled it off. And it looks like Angela's going to let him go. He calls her, I'll see you next Tuesday. I won't say that word on the graveyard. I don't like that word. It's too negative. She turns around, takes his little taser, puts a James Bond style to the gasoline, goes up to the car, and boom! Thomas burns alive as our lead kind of limps away and we fade to black. I think it was just a really one of those movies, unfortunately, that got really swept under the radar for whatever reason. I didn't do my homework as to what this was up against when it came out. I know it bombed though. I know this, and it's funny. The Black Christmas '06, both those movies bombed, and those were the last two prominent Christmas horror films up into when Krampus was released, and probably was it 2015, 2014, somewhere around. I think it was 2015, but it's 2014. I'm sorry. It's crazy how this and Black Christmas '06 doing poorly really hurt Christmas horror for a while, like almost 10 years. And then Krampus really doesn't do that much. I mean, it was okay box office wise. It's since again garnered a cult following. And it's funny, Black Christmas '06 is garnered a cult following. But honestly, I don't see the cult following for this film, whereas I think of those three movies, this is the best. And I think this is the one that does deserve a cult following, that does deserve a special edition Blu-ray release. And for what it's worth, man, I think for whatever reason it failed, whether it was the title, whether it was the time of the year, whether it was whatever it went up against, whether people just said, hey, I don't care. This got very, very average to below average reviews when it came out. So maybe I'm overhyping it. I don't know. I've always felt it's underrated, personally. I've always felt this movie right here is a bit underrated. And, for whatever reason, it didn't work. I do think this is one that everybody should go rewatch around the holidays because it's one of the best Christmas horror movies of all time. And I would say it's one of the most underrated horror films just in general from the knots, the 2000 to 2009 period. This is just one of those movies that completely gets swept under the rug, goes under everybody's radar, and I think that's a fucking crime because I think this is a really, really good movie. And hopefully someday somebody gives this a special edition Blu-ray release and a cult following can form. But until then, man, I mean, I might just be alone. I know I saw Neon Black liked it. I believe my good buddy Brian, who's been on the show 100 times, he loves it. Voices cross between Fergie and Jesus. Thank you, brother. Every time I watch High Tension, I flip flop on whether I like the twist or not. Yeah, it's one of those that like it's make or break for a lot of people. And like while I respect, either way, however people feel, I always kind of loved it. I thought, what a different way to end a movie like this. Like to me, I look at it as what if they ended it right there where she saved her and the cavalry arrives. Still a great movie. I mean, still everything in that movie is wonderful. But I think that extra ad at the end and the lesbian kiss scene and pulling glass out of the foot and can she still see me? No, no, she can't see you. And then reaches as Newborn by Muse plays over the credits. That's some stuff I never forget. That's just iconic ending. And whether it makes sense or doesn't make sense, or you like it or you don't, I think it's very memorable and it really makes Switchblade Romance as the alternate title, which is, I think, makes more sense with the ending than the High Tension title does. I think it just sets that movie apart for me personally. But I respect either way. I respect people that do or don't. I know Rambo Rap for Life. He just did a review on it, and he said that the ending completely ruins the film for him. I respect it. I just personally, I think it actually makes the film. It sets the film apart. Ben Grimm's here. What's up, good brother? Hope all is well with you. Everyone see they revealed a new Evil Dead game for the Video Game Awards. No, I didn't know that. That's very cool. I also know they did the Obi-Wan Kenobi show announcement, and Alfred Molina is returning as Doc Ock. I've heard all that good stuff, so that's pretty interesting. Yeah, Vicious Dog Death, yo, for real. You actually were just popped in after I talked about that scene. Fucking insane, and the amount of gore and fucking poor Rocky, man. R.I.P. Rocky in this movie. But if I had to come in with a rating on this one, oh man, it's tough. I want to give it the 10. I really do. I'm gonna come in at a 9.5 out of 10. I fucking love this movie. Guilty pleasure, call whatever you want. I don't think so at all. This is not a movie I feel guilty about liking at all. I think this is a fucking classic. I really, really do. And I'm hoping someday, somehow, this gets put out on special edition Blue and people will go, hey, that movie was fucking great. What were we smoking? I'm hoping that is the case. Frank Calhoun, in my opinion, this is still his best film. I really like the Maniac remake. I didn't even mind the Amityville horror movie he did, the Amityville The Possession with Jennifer Jason Leigh and I believe Bella Thorne, who's also beautiful. I didn't mind that one as much as some of the other fucking Amityville movies. Not the greatest movie in the world, but definitely I like the director. I followed the director, put it that way. I watched his action film. I believe it was called Wrong Turn to Tahoe. That wasn't a bad movie. It was like a fun little exploitation direct to blue movie. I didn't mind that at all. But man, this one I think is a Christmas classic. I think it's one that everybody should see and watch around not Rocktober, December time, man, because this one, P2, absolute classic. Love this movie. P2, 9.5 out of 10 for me. For what it's worth, Possessed by Horror on YouTube put P2 in her list of top 10 Christmas films to watch. Ooh, that's awesome. I have not seen her channel, I don't think. Possessed by Horror. It sounds possibly familiar. Maybe I haven't, but I will definitely check her channel out now because anybody who loves P2 as much as me is awesome in my book, man. Because I really do enjoy this movie. Every time I watch it, I'm like, where is the audience for this movie? It blows my mind. But Alex Aja and Frank Calhoun, they do it again. Awesome stuff, man. I really like P2. So that brings us to movie number 2. Oh, wait, before that, though, Nee Gorson Naheezy, good brother. Dude, Chars, eggnog, Chars, brother. Not as thick as last week, bro. Not as thick as last week. We got Farmland, Fresh Dairies, premium eggnog, ultra pasteurized. fucking badass, man. This is delicious. Not as thick and not as strong, but certainly as delicious, if not more delicious. And I could definitely drink more of this because it's way thinner. And like the other eggnog, I was like, fuck. Like after I drank it, I was like, shit, man, that's fucking filling shit. But really good at the same time. Um, but yeah, that brings us to the last movie I've seen in a theater to date, man. And that is actually crazy to me because for people who don't know, I am one of those people. I love to go to the movies. I love the day out or the night out and going to see a flick, maybe getting some food afterwards with some friends. I just always love going to the movies. There's just something so much grander about it than watching it at home. And I do like watching movies at home too. Like, don't get me wrong. I do it only every fucking day, if not every other day. But there's just something about the night out, going to the movie theater, having a good time, whether you're with people or not. And man, this being the last movie I saw in a theater to date, no matter what the status is I don't know if theaters are ever going to come back regularly. At this point, I'd guess no, because if Wonder Woman 84 is going to fucking HBO streaming service immediately, I would doubt that we have much hope for the future in movie theaters. I pray I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. I've never wanted to be more wrong than about that statement, but I'm afraid movie theaters could be gone forever. However, with that said, if it is the end of movie theaters, I'm glad I went out with this movie. I'm glad that this was the last cinematic experience I've had. It's over probably 10 months to the day because I saw this in early February. So yeah, 10 months to the day of this year, 2020. And I know that IMDb lists it as 2019. I believe it was released in festivals in 2019 and then theatrically in the United States in February of 2020. So to me, this is a 2020 horror film. Technically, I know it was released in 2019, but to me, 2020. And I will say right off the bat, this was my favorite horror movie of the entire year. Absolutely love this movie. I think the world of this movie, and this will be the spoiler-free section, if you will. I won't spoil anything here. Except I'll give obviously the plot synopsis and whatnot, but this will be spoiler-free talk for you guys for sure. Because I know Neon Black Reviews was saying he hasn't seen it, so I don't want to spoil when he's planning to see it. I do know, for what it's worth, it is streaming for free on Hulu. So if you don't want to drop the bread on the blue, I don't know what the blue goes for now. I pre-ordered it the minute I got out of the movie theater. I'm not even kidding you. Pre-ordered it the minute I got out of the movie theater. I was like, I cannot wait to fucking rewatch this. And I did the minute it came in the mail. But yeah, this is free on Hulu to watch, so highly, highly recommend that y'all give it a whirl on there. But I guess we can go right into plot synopsis here. Got IMDb loading here. Sorry, the goddamn internet stinks. Okay, a soon-to-be stepmom is snowed in with her fiance's two children at a remote holiday village. Just as relations begin to thaw between the trio, some strange and frightening events are soon to take place. Yes, this is Severin Fiala and Veronica Franz's The Lodge. Very, very rarely do I go to the movie theater to see a new horror film, a new original horror film, just period. You could stop that sentence right there. Very rarely do I go to the theater to see a new original horror film. And that's sad that I have to say that, but that's the truth because it's just all fucking reboots and fucking the Blumhouse shit that he's doing. Oh my God, it's just fucking constantly the same shit, different day. And I don't know, man. I was tired of the horror scene, especially leading into this movie. But very rarely do I go to see a brand new horror film and just absolutely be fucking enthralled and stoked about it. It happened twice in the past 5 or 6 years. It was It Follows and this movie. I remember when this movie ended, and I can get into that after though, but man, just couldn't recommend this enough. Aiden says, I watched The Lodge last night. What a great film. Easily my favorite horror film. Brother, I agree with you, man. And there's been a couple. I liked The Wretched. I liked After Midnight. There's been a couple good 2020 horror films for sure. It hasn't been the worst year ever for horror, considering there haven't hardly been any theaters. But this one to me stands tall. This is actually put out by Hammer, which Aiden was the one who told me that. back when I got the Blu-ray, I fucking didn't realize that Hammer, yes, the old school, like the Peter Cushing, Vincent Price, they put this out, Hammer Studios. And I will admit, I've never been the biggest Hammer horror movie fan. Like, I'm not a big fan of those movies because I don't know. I think it's just the fact that a lot of them have these like grand titles, like Blood of Dracula or the House that dripped blood or whatever. And then there's like essentially no gore in the film. Like, I always think that's just like the weirdest thing about Hammer horror. They're very much more, how do I put this? They're very much more like PG friendly to me. There is some hardcore Hammer stuff, but at the same time, it's just it seems like horror for people that are very proper. It's very formal horror. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you like it, hats off to you. But I will say that this is probably my favorite movie they've ever put out. And granted, you're talking like a 60-year difference between, when they were in their prime and when this movie came out. But right off the bat, we could talk a little bit about this one. And I will say this is a hard film to talk about without spoilers. So I will probably be getting into spoilers soon. So no hard feelings if anybody doesn't want to watch the rest of this. All I can tell you is I fucking love it. And I think it's a fantastic film. But the film starts off with Alicia Silverstone. Yes, Batgirl herself, baby, from the legendary Batman and Robin. And of course, everybody remembers her from Clueless. She gets top billing in this, which I thought was fucking interesting. She plays this mother of these two kids, and her and her husband, they're having some hard times. They're arguing constantly, all this good stuff. And they go over to they're separated partially, not divorced yet. And the husband says, listen, I met this girl. Her name's Grace. I want to get married to her. I want a divorce. And you see in that moment, Alicia Silverstone's world is absolutely turned upside down, and she's heartbroken by this. And in the first, I'm not even kidding you, it's the first 5 minutes of this movie. So, slight spoiler here. It's the first 5 minutes of this movie, though, so you're going to find out sooner or later anyway. Alicia Silverstone hears this news, puts a gun in her mouth, and blows her fucking head off. That's the opening 5 minutes of this movie. And then we see, of course, the funeral. Our two lead kids. One of them is Jaden Martell, I believe his name is. Yeah, Jaden Martell from the It Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, the It movies. He played like the lead, or I guess just Chapter 1, he was the lead. He was like the lead of the Losers Club. He does a great job in this. He's a great actor. I think he's only going to go on to do great things. And the other is Mia, played by Leah McHugh, who I think her performance is arguably the best performance in this entire fucking film. And that's incredible because it came from a little girl. Like, it's actually fucking incredible, man. I don't know how she did such a wonderful job acting, but she's wonderful. And they're these grieving children, and you could get the sense that they're a little bit maybe religious because Leah McHugh's character, she's saying, Mom can't go to heaven now. This is Mom killed herself. She can't go to heaven. That's what you've taught us. And you get the sense there's, they're strong Catholic people, and their world has absolutely been crumbled and destroyed by this out of nowhere suicide. And Neon Black Reviews, that girl from the Aerosmith video. You mean Alicia? Yeah, Alicia. So I don't know. Actually, I'm not sure who you're talking about. Or you're talking about Riley Keough, who's on the cover here. I'm not sure. Riley Keough, though, she plays Grace, who is the girlfriend of the Richard character, who's he's going to get married to her. And fun fact about her, she is Elvis Presley's granddaughter. So Elvis, some way, shape, or form, is involved in both of these movies. This movie musically, and this movie, his actual own, heritage is the lead star. I think, and is on the cover. I think that's pretty badass. I don't know. A little bit of Elvis tonight on the Graveyard. Play some Blue Christmas while you drink your eggnog, ladies and gents. But she plays Grace, and right off the bat, you get these great cinematography shots, and you get all this kind of tension and hostility from the children to Riley Keough's character. And it's great how they shoot it too, because the directors, they really shoot Grace in shadows. Like, you see the two kids' perspectives, and they're watching her talk to the father, and it's just her shadow. You don't see the actress. You just see her shadow, and you don't know what they're talking about, but it sees the light that they see her in. they see her as this fucking monster because their mother killed herself over the fact that their dad wanted to move on with her. And they fucking hate her for that. They outright despise her for that. And you get all this kind of just really good filmmaking techniques. And you learn a little something about Grace that maybe, just maybe, she used to be part of a cult. And this cult all basically committed suicide, exception of her, and they brainwashed her. Apparently, they were this uber religious cult that would play this song, and they did this thing where they all put poison in their drinks and drank the drinks. There was in the 70s that happened. I made a mental note to remember what it was called. I don't. Someone will know it, but it was like this famous thing where this guy, they all wore these white robes or togas or whatever, and they all drank, killed themselves. It's been parodied on Family Guy and whatnot. So it's kind of that type of thing. I don't know if somebody knows what it's called in the comments, but if y'all do, let me know. Oh, Jim Jones. Jim Jones. That's it. Yeah. It's that type of thing. Like she was the lone survivor of that. And you get the four of them. They drive out to this cabin in the middle of nowhere, this lodge, if you will, in the middle of nowhere. It's snowing sideways. And the father says, listen, we got 3 or 4 more days till Christmas. I'm going to go back to town on business. I'm like a 6-hour drive away. You're about, miles and miles away from civilization. Do you think, Grace, that you could stay with my kids for a couple of days, take care of them? She goes, I could do a couple of days. There's no problem with that. And he leaves, and we just basically get a lot of this, a lot of butting heads between our children characters and Grace. And Grace is trying really hard to just win them over, saying, I know I'm not your mother, and I know there's nothing I could say that will bring her back, or nothing I will say that can make you like me like the way you liked her. And I understand that, but give me a chance. I'm not all that bad. I know I have a checkered past, but this is me now, and I've changed, and I can change, and we can work together on this, and we can get along. There's points where she wants to decorate the house with Christmas stuff with them. They give her the cold shoulder, so she decorates the Christmas decorations by herself. There's scenes where, hey, can I make you a sandwich? Can I make you lunch? Can I make you dinner? I'm fine. I'll eat. I'll make my own sandwich. I'll eat later. They really just keep giving her the fucking cold shoulder, and to the point where she's just heartbroken. She's like, shit, I can't win these kids over. And all of a sudden, slowly but surely, these weird things are starting to kind of happen around the house. At night, the 2 children claim that they see Grace walking around and they don't know why. These things start to go missing, like some of the food in the house, some of Grace's medication, their clothes. At one point, the power goes out, and it's all of these things that slowly start to go missing. And Grace just confronts these 2 kids. She's like, what is going on? What the fuck are you doing? Have you taken my stuff? Have you taken my pills? And each side are pointing the finger at the other. And I think the brilliance here and the true horror here is the horror of non-trust, that non-trust factor, right? Because you have these kids see it one way, Grace sees it another, and we tend, as a viewer, when this is going on, we tend to side with Grace because Grace is good people, and we could tell that she is remorseful and that she is trying her hardest here, and these kids are just kind of being douchebags about it. And it's just crazy how they kind of pit both sides against each other. And slowly but surely, it really is one of those films that keeps you second guessing. All right, who the fuck is telling the truth? Who's telling lies? Who do we believe? Who do we not believe? Or is there just maybe something supernatural going on? And that's what I loved about this movie. It kept me guessing. I constantly kept guessing what was going to happen. What was the twist going to be? Where and what is actually going down in this film? And, you know, there's a lot of kind of hallways that leads you down. There's a kind of miniature that they use in this film. And I know a lot of people compare that to Hereditary. This beats the shit out of Hereditary. I'm sorry. There's a miniature of the 3 of them, and all their bodies in the miniatures are laid down and out. And I remember seeing that in the theater and being like, wait a minute, like could that have maybe just been like maybe they all died and it's like trying to say that? That doesn't end up being anything. So no spoiler there. But it's one of those things that the cinematographer he dwells on that. And I remember being in the theater being like, is it one of those things where they just died like out of nowhere, you know? Like I thought that would be an interesting way to take it, you know, because they were all watching. Actually, it's funny, they were watching John Carpenter's The Thing, and they're watching it, and they're all like, "Oh man, we're cold," and they put this little heater in the room. And she goes, "That thing's not dangerous, right?" And they're like, "No, no, it's not dangerous." And then the next morning they wake up and all the shit's gone. So you're thinking, did that play a factor in here? And then you get this wildness where this girl's Grace's dog has gone missing, and the weather is just increasingly picking up and they can't go anywhere, they can't drive anywhere, they're fucking freezing, they're starving, there's nowhere to run and nothing to do about it. And these kids basically at one point they're kneeling down and praying, and Grace is like, what the fuck are you doing? And they're like, listen, I don't, we don't know what's happening, but we think that we're gone, like we think that we're in purgatory, and we think that the best way to escape this is to repent and admit our sins. And they tell her, you're full of sins, Grace, like you need to get down on your knees and you need to repent with us. And Grace is like, what the fuck? We're not in purgatory, like shut the fuck up, my feet are cold, I'm starving, I can still feel, I can still think, and we need to work together to get through this. And it's just that, again, that constant, we don't agree. And you see that the kids have this newspaper clipping, and it says, you know, all three of these people died, and they're slowly but surely telling you that, man, they're in purgatory. And I remember when I saw the movie, I'm sold on it. I'm like, they're fucking in purgatory, this is fucking wild. And I just being like, wow, like what a clever way to take this. However, that's not what this is. That's not where they took it. They convince Grace of this. There's one point when she goes out, she tries to make like a walk to town for it. It's too freezing. She comes back, her whole fucking face is like frostbitten. She finds her dog dead in the snow. These movies don't like dogs, by the way. I don't know why. Both dogs die in this movie, in these movies. Elvis Presley and dog dying, man. It's weird connection, but they're both in here. And Grace kind of goes back into the house, and she's just like, my dog, my fucking dog, and I'm freezing. And you see that she is really starting to lose it. And these two kids kind of look at each other, and you see that maybe, just maybe, they know something more. And it's in that moment where the spoilers from here on out, major spoilers, that maybe, just maybe, these kids need to stop what they're doing. You find out towards the last like 20 minutes of this movie that the kids are pulling like the ultimate prank on Grace. And it's not just a ha ha prank. It's not just a, oh, we got you, you know, we're laughing, we meant no harm by it. It's a very malicious prank. They have hidden the food, they've turned off the generators, they've literally killed the batteries of all their phones so they can't call anybody. They literally left her dog out in the snow to fucking freeze to death. They've stolen her medication, so there are points where she's starting to hallucinate of the old cult. And at one point, you realize that one of the kids was on the speaker in the house. They had a speaker in the house somehow, and he was saying Grace, Grace, to try to trip her out even more. It's one of those things where they knew that she had a checkered past, and they decided, why not use it against her? We hate this bitch. This bitch is the reason our mother put a bullet in her head. And now we're going to get our revenge, and we're going to convince her to kill herself. That's fucking brilliant. And that's dark. And that's shit that the late great Lucio Fulci would have fucking loved, because he was all about that. And I love the classic quote at the end of House by the Cemetery: are the children monsters, or are monsters children? No one will ever know. That's this movie in a nutshell. I feel like if Lucio Fulci saw this movie, he'd be like, that's it. You know, he probably would have just made the boy's character name be Bob, if you will. Like that would have been like the only change, because this feels very Fulci with its depiction towards kids, because this is something that they did out of malice and out of, we want this bitch gone and we will do whatever it takes. And even to a point where the boy, Jade Martell, he fakes hanging himself and says, I'm hung, Grace. I'm dead. We are all dead in purgatory. We have to repent. And the way Riley Keough just sells all this stuff with her face and crying and just all the frostbite, and you can just, you feel the intensity of the cold outside and the fact there's no heat in the house. Her performance, man, is just off the charts. And it's just this not even slow descent into madness. It's a slow descent into just literally throwing in the towel. And this is a woman that had just rebounded and rebuilt her life, only to have these two innocent looking kids break her down piece by piece, little by little. I thought that was brilliant. I haven't seen a horror film ever fucking do that, where it was the two kids trying to manipulate this woman to convince her to kill herself. Fucking dark, man. Fucking original, too. And I just love when they finally realize, maybe, just maybe, we've gone too far here. And they tell her, listen, it was all a sham. It's all a joke. We're going to turn the power back on. We're going to put your food back. We're going to give you your medicine. It's all a joke, Grace. Please believe us. She's already too far gone down that path, or too far deep in the rabbit hole, that she has truly lost her fucking mind. And she takes these burning logs that are in the fireplace, their only source of heat because they can't get the generator kicked up again. She takes these burning logs and she puts them down on the living room floor, and on bare knees just kneels down on them and starts screaming at the top of her lungs, repenting, forgive me, fucking burn. And the kids watch in horror. I mean, I was like, holy fucking shit, man. It's like, it's one of those, at this moment, this is when the children realize they fucked up. Like, it was just, all was missing was the narrator going, these children fucked up here, you know? And it all leads to the finale where it's Christmas Eve morning, or, you know, whatever. And basically the father arrives and Grace has gotten a hold of a pistol, and he's, give me the gun, baby, give me the gun. And she's like, Richard, I can't kill myself. I've been bad in my life. I've committed too many sins. She goes, you want to see? You want to see what life is? And she pulls the trigger and no bullet comes out. She's perfectly fine. He's like, all right. He's like, that's all right. Just give me the gun now. And she's like, give you the gun. Bam! Blows that motherfucker's head off. He goes fucking flying down the steps. The children start screaming their heads off. Not only has their mother blown her own fucking head off, but now their father gets his head blown off. Holy shit. They make a run for the road. They get in the car. Grace kind of just walks up to the car and she's like, no, no, no. Get the fuck out. And then we get the final scene. And to me, to this point in the movie, I would probably have gone 9 out of 10. Just like a solid, great movie. I know a lot of people will tell you it's slow. I don't agree with that personally. But until this ending, I didn't get that sense of satisfaction like I did with It Follows. But it was here where I just, as a fan of the genre in general, just fucking was floored. And I know it's an ending that could piss people off. It's an ending that I could tell you the people in the theater I was in, it pissed them off. It's the four of them around the table. Richard's blown off head sitting at the center, Grace, and the two children. And Grace has the gun on the table, and Grace starts singing that religious song that the cult sang. Nearer, my God, to thee. I believe the song is Nearer, my God, to thee. Nearer, my God, to thee. Nearer to thee. And as Grace starts singing, you see the fear of these two children who start crying and almost singing along with her. They've pushed her so far. And my good buddy Jesus Hernandez, what's going on? The Jesus Rolls, good brother. That's a name I've not ever seen on this channel. So Charles to you, man. Eggnog Charles. I'm gonna drink some in a little bit, but I'm writing the finale here. But Charles to you, my friend. Hope all is well with you. It's this moment where these children are crying and Grace is singing this biblical song that they're just like, we absolutely destroyed ourselves. And I know a lot of people will say, well, it's painting people with mental problems in a poor light. I don't see that at all. I see this as two children who absolutely were hurt and destroyed and could not deal with the grief of their mother's death, thus leading to the malice prank that leads Grace off into utter fucking insanity. And it's this stirring of the pot that all of a sudden topples over in our finale. And I think that's such good storytelling in horror. I think Severin Viala and Veronica Franz, they had done Goodnight Mommy before this, which is a phenomenal film too. But it's that stirring of the pot and the storytelling there of this girl who was trying to move on, but these kids that just wouldn't let her. I think that's so dark. There's something poetic there. It's like, how can you not be romantic about great horror storytelling like that? Completely original. I dare I say I've never seen it in another film. Grace gets up after singing. She gets this duct tape that puts over all their mouths, including her own, and it says sin in dark black magic marker. She lays her hands on both their heads. We see the gun, and the film fades to black. The theater I was in, I'll never fucking forget this. Everybody groaned. Every fucking buddy groaned. Oh, that fucking sucks. Are you kidding? Are you kidding? Fuck this movie. Stupid. Saw people walking out. And I know people that even that I recommended this to that didn't fucking. I know Ryan didn't like it. I know Don, who's gonna be on next week, he didn't fucking like it. So I might be in the minority here. And if I am, I am. I don't care. I fucking sat there and I watched all these people leave. And I just thought to myself, I just saw an iconic shot. Like, that's an iconic shot to me, is Grace holding the heads of these two children and the sin written across their faces. And to me, like, I can personally, it's one of those few moments in horror history. It's like when Leatherface does his dance at the end of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's when Mama Voorhees spills out her guts, and they weren't paying any attention when that young boy drowned, and when that young boy that drowned jumps out of the water, and when, you know, Michael Myers isn't there at the end, or all these great iconic final shots. I put that right there with it, man. I do, because here's all three of these people who were no angels. They all did right and do what was written on their mouths, which is sin. They all had sinned. We all have sinned. Everybody here, we've all sinned. We have. But it was, how far did we take this? Did we take this too far? Are children the monsters, or are monsters the children? Old Fulci would ask us. And it was in that moment where I had chills and I smiled, and I was the last son of a bitch out of the theater, and I turned and I went, that's fucking iconic. And I just couldn't stop thinking about the movie for a few weeks. And I just thought, wow, like that lasting visual of, wow, sin written across. And I put that as the thumbnail. Just thought that was brilliant. I thought that's everything that a horror film should be now, when it comes to storytelling, when it comes to wonderful cinematography, when it comes to not just a horror film, holiday horror film where we, you know, see all this stuff, but where we really do feel the cold. I feel the fucking cold in this movie that all these three of these characters feel when they turn the heat off. You fucking feel it. And when a horror movie can make all of your senses work, you know, like you feel like you could smell her fucking knees burning. You see all this fucking chaos going on. You could certainly fucking hear it. It's just so goddamn hard to do, but I think Severin Viala and Veronica Franz did it with this movie. And I would say easily my favorite horror movie of the year, a movie that I have championed. I've literally rewatched it probably too much. I adore the film. I think it's phenomenal. And I think it is what I would like to see more out of the genre. I can't wait to see what those two do next, because I love Goodnight Mommy, and I think this is a masterpiece. I would even say I would go as far as that. I thought absolute fucking masterpiece for sure. We have a ton of comments here. Insanity, yeah, for real, good brother. They knew they caused that to happen to the dog. Yeah, you know, and that's fucked up, dude. You fucking murdered the girl's dog. Like, what the fuck? That's fucking Practical Joke on too far. Yeah, just more than just Cole, brother. They deserve to fucking get shot at the end, to be honest. The twist was shot. Yeah, no, I never saw that coming. I thought it was genius that they used the miniatures. I thought, oh, that's going to be the twist, where they used all these miniatures, and oh man, that's pretty interesting. But they don't. They really don't go that route. They use that almost as a red herring. And then when you see what's going down for real, I was like, holy fucking shit. This is just a fucking practical joke that went horribly wrong. And it's not Grace that we see the directors paint her out to be the monster, like I was saying before, with the shadows. And I don't think we see her until the 21-minute mark in the film. I actually took the time to do that. 21 minutes is until we see Riley Keough's character. They really paint her to be, oh, the shady bitch, or the piece of shit stepmom, if you will, like the Louise Fletcher of stepmoms. And she's not. She's not that at all. She was just somebody trying to rebound and move on for her life. And these two fucking kids literally drive her to insanity. And not only do they get their job accomplished, they get their job accomplished a little too fucking well, because they end up costing everybody their lives. And sin is written all over their mouths at the end. And I thought, that's everything I love about horror movies. That's why I love great storytelling, and that the cold aesthetic and just fucking phenomenal performance from Riley Keough, because I thought she stole this movie. And as great as I thought Mia and Jaden Martell were, or Leah, I'm sorry, Leah McHugh and Jaden Martell, the both of them, though, great job. The three of them as an ensemble just had wonderful chemistry and really carried this film. Um, but I do think this is Riley Keough's moment. And I think this was a moment where a lot of people, because before this, she was kind of looked as more of like one of those, like, like a sex star, if you will. Like she was in Under the what was it called, with Andrew Garfield. It was from the director of It Follows. I forget, it was like Under the Silver Lake or something like that, where she kind of played this girl he was in love with that went missing. But this really showed that she can act with the best of them. And she really is able to channel every single emotion in this and be believable and never go over the top with it. I think Riley Keough steals this fucking movie, man. She really does. I'm gonna watch it tonight, dude. Yeah, totally. I know. I don't. I think you were like so on it. But I highly recommend, man, because I don't know. I kind of fell in love with it when I first saw it. I didn't think it was slow at all. Hell, I thought it was engaging. I thought so too. I thought it was a good way to it starts off sort of like a drama, right? Like you have a lot of dramatic elements and a lot of tension. And then it kind of, once it just starts to thaw, if no pun intended, that's when shit starts to break loose. Like it's weird. It's like finally you let your guard down. You're like, all right, finally we can fucking move on from all this horrible tension between these people. And then bam, fucking shit starts hitting the fan right after that. Really, really good storytelling. I love these two directors. They do great job. Yeah, hell yeah. Jesus Hernandez, you're my dude. Awesome comment. You're not alone. I love the ending. Phenomenal film. 10 out of 10 masterpiece. Mr. Vabra, I agree with you as always, my friend. Absolutely 10 out of 10 for me. I think this is what I like horror movies to be. And I know that people might disagree. People might say, hey, I love what Blumhouse is putting out. I know Freaky right now is like the big horror movie. And like, all due respect to people who like those movies or whatever, I just guess I'm just not one of those people. I'm much more into the independent market where people are putting out stuff that is genuinely scary and is not watered down and fucking drowned in just terrible comedy. I think that's a big fucking disconnect for me in the genre now, is the comedy. There's so many horror films that just have not to the fact that I'm against comedy and horror. Like people will think, oh, you're fucking stingy. I don't mean it that way. I just think I like good comedy and horror. This is a movie that did good comedy and horror. Perfect balance between the two. So is this. So is this. All three of these movies that are in the picture right now, they have some comedic parts and they're all genuinely funny. But at the end of the day, they don't take away from what each one of those movies are trying to do. It's an added element. It's icing on the cake. It's not the fucking cake itself. That's my problem with all these Blumhouse. Like, oh God, I don't know if I want to go down this road, but like, perfect example. Ready or Not. I liked Ready or Not. It was a good movie. However, I think if Ready or Not was more serious, to me, that would make it a masterpiece. Make that movie, but be serious with it. Don't be so fucking hokey and fun. I thought it was fun for being hokey and fun. I enjoy the film. However, I think it could have just been that much more if it wasn't so fucking tongue in cheek. That's just me, though. And there are certain movies where you'd be like, Gronny, you're a fucking hypocrite. Because I could totally see somebody's argument against me there. Because there are movies I love that they are tongue-in-cheek. These movies being, Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3. I love that they're tongue-in-cheek. Love that they're winking at you as they're doing what they're doing. I just think, like, personally right now, I don't know if we need that. I don't know if that's what I would like the genre to be. I'd like more movies like this, and for what it's worth, It Follows. I thought It Follows was a great fucking film that didn't have comedy that fucking ruined it. Or, oh gosh, The Conjuring. Again, there's some laps in The Conjuring, but again, at the end of the day, it still accomplishes what it's going for. So that's just kind of my personal 2 cents on where I'd like to see horror movies go. And this is a prime example. I think it's fucking scary film. It's effective. You feel it with all five senses. I was saying that's a main thing with this movie. It's not easy to accomplish, but I think Severin Viala and Veronica France just absolutely, I think they hit a grand slam with this one. And again, unfortunately, a movie that didn't do very well, a movie that has gotten subpar to below reviews again. It has a 6 on IMDb. This has a 6 on IMDb. This has a 5.9. So both of these movies in the eyes of critics are at best a 6. Very interesting to me because I would go 9.5 and 10. Like, I think both of these are perfect Christmas holiday horror watches personally. And then it seems like the main public with this one are split down the middle, love or hate. And with this one, the people that saw it weren't impressed, and everyone else doesn't even know what the fuck it is, partially because of a poor title. I don't like the P2 title. It should have been called anything else. But I don't know, man. I thought this was an interesting graveyard episode to kind of tackle two movies that haven't gotten the love that they deserve and didn't upon initial release. And who knows, maybe, just maybe, one day these movies will find a cult audience. I don't know. Granted, this one, it just fucking came out, so I will have more patience with this. But I will say that I've shown this to, I want to say 5 or 6 good friends, like Aiden. Aiden loved it. My friend Xavier, who's a great friend. I don't know if he's ever really watched the show. He lives around here. He's always looking for movie recommendations. I told him, watch this on Hulu. He watched it with his girlfriend. He called me on the fucking phone to tell me how great it was. He was like, why is no one talking about this movie? Like, it's a crime. And I told him, I said, I agree. I said, I don't know what, I don't know. I have no fucking idea why no one, the people didn't like it. If you didn't like it, fucking tell me why. Please. I'm never like gonna judge somebody for disagreeing with me. In fact, I think it's more interesting. I like when people disagree with me. It's more interesting. Let's be civil human beings and talk about it. Let me know why. We're adults here. We can talk. We can be civil. Nothing wrong with disagreeing. Just give me your 2 cents. Don't just tell me I'm a fucking idiot or it was just boring. Like, I hate that. That's like one excuse everybody uses. Oh, it's boring. What the fuck else? Like, you gotta tell me some aspects of the film you don't like other than its pace. Like, I don't know. I just think there's a lot more to a fucking film than that. Neon Black Review says, I get what you're saying. Sometimes you got to think what we missed because they wanted to make it funny. Exactly. Like, for a perfect example, the original Carrie. There are scenes where you laugh. The stuff with John Travolta and in the car with his girlfriend, calling his girlfriend a bitch. It's a funny scene. It's a very funny scene. There are some scenes where, I love where the fucking coach smacks the shit out of Chris Hargensen. I laugh at that. It's fucking funny. There are some funny scenes. However, what we remember is Carrie walking down the stage and the flames behind her dripping in the pig's blood. And what we remember is that hand grabbing out of the grave as fucking Sue Snell screams out of her bad dreams. That's what we remember. That's why those movies have the legacy that they have. And that's why they're fucking scary. I think that that's a main thing with horror that needs nowadays. I'm not saying that we can't have those fun films on the side like a Ready or Not, because that's a movie that people seem to love. Critics loved it. Audiences loved it. It made some money. That seems to be a fan favorite type of film. And that new movie Freaky, that's with Vince Vaughn, that's setting the world on fire too. I'm not trying to say that those movies don't have a place. I'm glad they have a place. I'm really glad they have a place. I'm just saying I want more of this. I think there's a perfect world where, people will go, well, what do you want? Do you want all of this? Do you want all of that? I'm like, I'd like to think we can do both. I'm like to think that we could have this come out in the theater and then next week have Ready or Not come out in the theater. And this way you can appease both sides. That's what I'd like to think. I just feel like movies like this, they come out and they fucking bomb. And when they do, people are afraid to fucking give them the distribution to give them a wide release. And I think that's what really does cripple these movies. Of course, I'm talking pre-COVID, because now, I mean, they're literally releasing Wonder Woman 84 to fucking HBO streaming. Like, that's the movie theaters, rest in pepperonis. Nigor says, I didn't like it at the time. Only watched it once. I was in and out with it. So yeah, LOL. I was one of those people saying it's boring, not on a video or anything. So tonight I'll sure hit it up. Yeah, no, dude, and I could understand. I know. Hey, man, does this movie have slight pacing problems? I'm sure you could say that. I personally didn't. I was invested. I was engaged. I was interested from the word go. However, if you know the hostility between stepmom and the kids isn't something that interests you, I could see how it bores you. It's not one of those movies where there's a lot of gore. It's not one of those movies where shit's happening every second. It's not. It's a slow burn. This is a slow burn horror film. And some people are going to get into that. Some people aren't. Doesn't make you right or wrong. Doesn't make you crazy or not crazy. It's just, it is what it is. Some people don't like slow burn horror. They don't. And that's perfectly fine. Um, but I do personally really like this one. I think this is slow burned horror done right, because you have fantastic cinematography, direction, and acting. Because I think, and for what it's worth, both of these movies, I would say the acting is arguably my favorite point. And then this one with the storytelling. I love the storytelling in this movie. Um, I just think it goes a long way. And the fact that both of them, again, are able to be genuinely fucking scary, and I think really stand on their own 2 feet as really solid holiday horror films. So that is The Lodge. That is P2. Highly recommend. I don't know, other than Black Christmas, I don't know if there's two movies I could recommend more around this time of the year, because Christmas Evil, it's not for everybody. It's not. However, I think everybody should see these two movies. I really do, especially the younger up and coming horror fans. Like, give them a shot. They're newer. I know a lot of people, people our age, they have a problem with older films. I don't know why, fucking crazy, but these are two newer films. This film literally came out this year. Give it a whirl. Let me know what y'all think, because I'd like to hear what y'all have to say about The Lodge and P2. I hope I've given them some justice. I hope I've given them some kind of an audience for people to maybe check these movies out for their own. Neon Black Reviews, I don't know if you were here for some of the spoilers, so I'm sorry if I spoiled anything. But I think you highly, highly recommend you watch the film. I don't know if you have Hulu or not, but and if just, word of advice, I personally think it's worth the buy on Blue, but your money, not gonna, no pressure, my friend. And my man Corey is going to be watching it later. All you had to say was Carrie. Big facts, balances everything. Yeah, I do think that, man. I think balance is a big thing, and like, I don't mind horror movies that are more horror than comedy, and I don't mind horror movies that are more comedy than horror. It's just, I think with distribution standpoint, I'd like to see both. I'd really, really, really like to see both, and I think that we may be a little bit removed from that. I don't know, though. I don't know. I mean, the way things are going right now, VOD may be the only way to go. We may literally, not go to the theater to see a big mainstream horror movie anymore. It may just be forever streaming. Like, I don't know at this point. Like, I am, fingers are crossed. I'm hoping one day down the road I can watch this video and laugh and say, "Hey, man, remember I thought we'd never go to the movies again?" I really do fear that, but it is what it is. I'll rent it if I have to. Okay, good looks, man. Awesome. Yeah, or you can do the free trial on Hulu. That's always nice. You don't have to pay at all to see it. That would be awesome. Yeah, it is still on Hulu. Yeah, free on Hulu. I knew that. I actually recommended a lot of the girls at my work to give it a watch, because they were all like, "Oh, well, what good Christmas horror movies?" And I said I was talking about these two tonight, and they were all like, "Oh, we have Hulu." So I don't know. Maybe I'll hear all ranting and raving tomorrow at my job. I'm hoping I do. I hope I go in and Grande. What the fuck was that ending? I'll be like, I didn't write it. I didn't direct. I just liked it. I remember one time, the girl, she works at my job, she was saying, "Oh, Cabin Fever 2 is a piece of shit," all this stuff. And I'm like, "Dude, I love Cabin Fever 2. Nah, just kidding. Like, I thought I let her X, Y, and Z. Like, I was like, "Oh, it's not that bad. It's not that bad." And she was getting riled up, and I was like, "It's a piece of shit." Like, oh my God, dude, it was absolutely perfect. I got her to that point, and then bam, dropped the bomb. Funny shit. But all righty, though. I guess we can wrap the show there. We're at about the hour and 20-minute mark. I went a little longer tonight. I'm sorry about that. But I don't know. All time, all time's a good time, having fun time in the graveyard with y'all, drinking some nog. Mm. Only the best, man. Only the best for the graveyard. So, all right, that's going to be all for the show this evening. I can promote a little bit for next week. We're going to do Black Christmas 1974 with the legendary Don Nice will be here for that. The '06 remake. And via Mr. Need Gore, I don't know if he's still here, but via Mr. Need Gore, he asked me to review the 2019 film. So I'll be watching all three of those over the next 7 or 8 days or whatnot. So prepping for that show. So it's going to be a Black Christmas triple feature extravaganza, if you will. And Don Nice will be joining me, an old FHMP reunion. Don's the man. We always love talking with Don. And I know Black Christmas, the original, is like one of his favorite movies ever. As for the remake, the first remake, I don't know his thoughts. And as for the new film, we talked a little bit about it yesterday. So I don't know, man. I don't know how bad that 2019. I'm going to have to rewatch it, but he watched it, man, and he freaked out. He fucking texted me. If you saw the texts, man, you're not going to want to miss next week. Let's put it that way. Neon Black Reviews, great stream, man. God bless, brother. Hope all is well. And also, if you review any Christmas horror, man, I hope you review some Christmas horror. I would love to see some of your reviews. And I'm sorry. Let me know what you thought of The Lodge. If you do watch The Lodge, you just drop a comment or review it. Either way, I'd be stoked with either. Anytime, baby, anytime. One of my favorite people in the world. Good luck with the 2019 remake, bro. I will need luck. I'll need Jesus. I'll need Fergie, and maybe Allah. I'll need them all, man, to make it through that one. I watch all the Silent Night, Deadly Night, so I'm right there with you. Oh, good luck, man. Tear out a new one. Oh, hell yeah, man. I will. I got here. It's funny. I always watch these movies around this time, and I'm going to do a commentary for part 2, but I have the VHS of part 3 with the little, I know people will love, oh, my goddamn hand's in the way. I'm sorry. I always get the little horror sticker there. Always, I don't know. I'm a sucker for that. Love that stuff. So yeah, I have this, and I have the 2-pack of 1 and 2 over there too. So I'll be watching 1 through 3 for sure, and maybe even part 5. So I love part 5. But that's going to be all for tonight, everybody. Chars, eggnog chars to y'all. Stay safe. Have a wonderful weekend. The weather outside is brightful, baby. Have a wonderful Friday, guys. Too sweet. Peace. And we will catch you next time only on the